Okay, good. So yesterday, just a recap. Yesterday we saw auto wiring without using the new keyword. How do we create an instance of a class? So that's what we saw yesterday. So that is one of the primary feature of Spring, which is DI and IOC, dependency injection and inversion of control. Now today we will see one of the one of another nice and the cool feature of Spring, which is called AOP, nothing but aspect oriented programming. AOP is aspect oriented programming. So before we enter into this, let's take the example of the servlet which we built. If I wanted system.out.println or a console, not a console log, it is a logger, log.debug, which I need to print to a file or to a console. I have to go into each of the method and give a system.out.println, correct? In the main method, I'll give like I have entered the main method. In the service, I'll give I have entered the service. That's what we have been doing so far, correct?
That means
Or-
just to get the output, we are going to use the println and the console, right?
Correct. We are so far we have been using this console system.out.println everywhere. Everywhere we are using system.out.println, right?
Yeah.
And here we are not using. But usually what we do, I give here sysout, correct? I give here sysout and I print the value input number and action. And here we see this is an sysout, right? In DAO we have given. Right. Okay. Here we don't have, but in service we would have given that. Maths operation 2. So this is an sysout. So why are we giving this sysout? For us to know that the control has come into this and for us to know what are the values which has come, correct? Which is nothing but for debugging purpose. Am I right on saying that?
Yeah, right.
Why,
Just to
why
come to know what we are going to print.
correct? So why are we giving this out? For us to know that when I run the program, whether the control is coming here or not. When it is
Yeah.
printing, I'll know that okay, it has come here. And in few cases we'll give here number 1 comma number 2 plus action and it will print here whatever value we are giving, it will print here, which means for us to know what is the value it is coming inside. That is for debugging purpose. Now what if I tell you you should not give any sysout inside any of the method, but still you want the control to be printed? You should not give, because giving a sysout is time consuming and cleaning will take time. I have to search for every places where I have given the sysout and I have to delete it. Instead of that, what if I tell you don't give sysout anywhere in the code? Your code should be clean. There should not be any logger, any sysout. But still, I want the sysout to come. I want the sysout to come that the control has gone into this method, maths operation. The control has gone is going out of this method. Okay, so that is the use case. Without giving sysout anywhere inside the method, we still have to print that. We still have to know here that the control is going inside this method, it is coming out. That is the problem which we are going to solve today, and that is what Spring's uh, AOP does beautifully. It If that is done, it will be like a magic, right? You will not even give anything here, but you will get a sysout here. You will get a log that the control is going inside this method. Wouldn't that be a surprising thing, like a magic, right?
Yeah, Rajesh. Without just we are
Yeah,
going to decrease
you
effort.
don't correct. You don't even touch the code, but it will come here. That is the problem which Spring addressed. Like during start when the Spring came, it said the developers should work only on the logics. They should not be focusing on giving sysout, giving logger, handling the exceptions. All these are not duties of a developer. It's a regular work. Instead of that, the developer has to focus only on the business logic. What is a business logic? This is a logic. When add comes, I have to add. This is the logic which we cannot make the program work automatically. But control comes inside. Okay, that's a regular statement. Why should the developer always give? If he is going to write 100 methods 100 times, he has to give control is coming here, and these are the values. So Spring came up with that, with a concept called as AOP, which is unique only in Spring. uh, the sad thing is that most of the developers doesn't know the use of AOP, and they don't even use the AOP. From whatever I have seen, that is very sad to know, because it violates the principle, and it you'll, like, you'll admire and you'll appreciate uh, the purpose for which it was introduced when you know it completely. So from my experience, none the developers give a new keyword when they create an object in Spring. That is more pathetic. I asked them, like, why are you telling you're using a Spring application? Auto wiring is there; it's going to be taken care automatically. Why do you even need to create an object? So today we'll go over.
Rajesh, you are using the word AOP. I am familiar with the IDAO. AOP,
AOP is aspect. What is I? What did you tell? ID?
just the file what we created, DAO. I'm sorry.
DAO. DAO is the file name. AOP is a concept. Like
Okay.
DI, dependency injection, IOC, those are all concepts, right? What
Okay.
is, okay, the IOC and DI, they are the concepts, and the representation, or how did we implement that concept using auto wiring.
Okay.
Okay, so DI and IOC are the concept which says you don't call the, you don't have a coupling of the classes which you are calling. Bean factory will do it inversely. Inversion of control. The control will be injected inversely by the bean factory. That is a concept we studied. And in practical, we saw that using at AutoWire keyword and at component scan, at component, at qualifier, using these things, we implemented that concept in the practical, and we, okay, whatever we studied in theory, we saw that. The same way, AOP is a concept. What AOP does is, the base problem I said you, AOP is going to solve the redundant code which a developer is writing again and again. It can be a logger, it can be an exception handling. So there are many more advantages to it. Like just two examples I taken. So all these redundant code the developer is writing, this has to be eliminated. So AOP came into picture. So let's see what AOP is. AOP is a cross-cutting concern. Okay, these just know these terms as it is. Once we do a practical example, you will understand this. So AOP is a cross-cutting concern. Concern means few functionalities which needs to be plugged in then and there in all the methods or all the classes throughout the application. So aspect. The first is the aspect. I'll draw one diagram here so you'll understand. Let us okay. Let's take, this is the bean factory. Do I have a better? Okay, I'll no. Okay, so this is a bean factory. So inside this, the aspect or what problem we are trying to solve, log. Okay, so log is the aspect we are trying to solve, log or sysout. In single word, I can tell log or sysout. To make it more user friendly, uh, remove remove, not remove, um, inject the log dynamically within the codes. This is the problem we are trying to solve. That is what the aspect is. Now, where all this has to be injected, where all this has to be touched, we have files, right? We have a service file, and let's say we have a DAO file. In our case, we have only two files, right? Not two files. We have actually four files. We have created two more. So let's leave out the interface because interface is not having a concrete method. It is just a contract. But where the logic happens, it happens in Max operation 2, Microsoft DB, Oracle DB, controller, and DAO IMPL. Nearly 5 to 6 methods it's happening. So these are the places where these aspect has to be injected. Those are called join points. I'll just so join points are the points where we have to inject this, where we want the bean factory to inject these logger. We have to tell specific, right? Inject into these methods, inject into all the classes, all methods. So join point is something where the aspect has to be injected. That is join point. Next is advice. So inside the aspect, we have an advice. I'll add one more box. So inside the aspect, we have an advice which will tell here. I said you that when the control enters into the method, give us this out. When the control leaves a method, give us this out. When the control enters and also leaves, give us this out. These are the statements I said. This is what advice is. Advice is telling to the container when you should inject this, whether start of the method before entering, after leaving, or even before entering and after leaving, or around. So there are different advices. So this is one terminology, and the the process where these aspects or advices are merged into the point joint points is called the point cut. These are the terminologies of AOP. So you have to just know this. I'll do numbering so that I'll differentiate. Okay. So we have the aspect, we have the join point. Leave this for now. I'll show it in the example. So we have join point, we have advice, we have the point cut. Introduction. Introduction means this method you have given only three argument. Dynamically, when the method is getting executed, you want to add something else. That is called introduction. Introduction means introducing something. So introducing something which is not there is called introduction. Again, I'll not go deep into this because these are all very high advanced concept. Target object. Target object is where this has to be, where let's say this is out is our aspect now. Where we have to do it, this is the target object to this class, to this class. Maths operation 2, Maths DB. These are all targets where it has to do. and proxy. What Beam Factory does is it takes the raw class, let's say this class, it takes the raw class, it adds those aspects, whatever we have said. In our case, the aspect is log. It is going to add something to this class and it is going to form one final object which will have all the sysout inside it. The final class will look like this. The final object after Bean Factory will look like sysout has been introduced in the middle, but original source code it will not be there. So the final object where the Bean Factory is getting that object ready is called the proxy object. Usually proxy means it's a not the original, it's a dummy. Not dummy, it's actually a imaginary thing. It's not a original. And I said that Bean Factory is going to apply these logging into that method that is called weaving. Weaving is the English terminology where we just use the threads and we weave something. Okay, so I know you'll be in a different world now. Nothing will be uh, familiar, but just bear with it. We'll see one example and slowly you might understand this will be better. So go to document. If you want to read more, go to the document.spring.io and you can search for AOP. Don't go to other sites like where others are provided. First go to the documentation. After you understand, you can go the other way. So clearly they have given the AOP concepts. What is an aspect, join point, everything they have given. So you can take a look at it. How do you enable? Of course, we are not going to use this syntax because the documentation is from 2.0. Now it is actually 5.4. So examples you can leave, but the theory remains same. So let's see the next slide. Okay, that's all. These are the only two slides. Okay. I said that advice is something we are telling when this AOP should be injected. So before, these are the different advices. Before advice, after returning, after throwing, after advice, and around advice. You can go through this later. I'll show one first simple example so that you'll get at least a higher picture of what I'm trying. Okay, now I'll remove the sysout because as per AOP, I should not have any sysout. Got it. Now I'm removing. Now let me get rid of this one. Okay, here I don't make any change because the class should not contain any sysout. Now in the pom.xml, step 1, in the pom.xml, we have to add an entry for AOP because we should make our project aware of AOP. For that, we need to use AOP jars. So we have to add this dependency, Spring Boot Starter AOP. Once we add this, the Maven is going to download all the dependencies for this AOP. Let's see if something has come here. Aspect, I said, right? Aspect Viewer has come in. Spring AOP has come in. And that's all. These are the two jars. These are the two jars used. So those two jars have come in. Now I am creating one class, just one class, and this is a familiar statement for you. Day one I showed logger manager dot get logger of the class. Now this is the method you have to focus. Using this method only we will study. I have created a method, profile all method. Method name can be anything, and it takes an argument. I have given at around. we saw that around was an advice. And I've given here some expression. I'll show you what the expression is in few minutes. So what I'm doing from this joint point is the are the points where this aspect has to be weaved in. From the join points, we get the signature. Signature means the method name. And from the method signature, I'm getting the class name. From the method signature, I'm getting the method name. And I'm printing the class name and method name. So what I am doing is, I get an object like this inside. I don't know who is going to give me this object, but this object is going to contain a class name and a method name. I am just printing this class name and method name and returning the result. That's all. If the result is proceed join point dot proceed, this is very important because the program has come inside this method and waiting. You have to now let the program do its work. Now I add one. Let's we revisit this file after I run it. I'll first execute and show you. I have given the annotation aspect and the component. Now I'll start the server, I'll execute and show you. Then we'll come back. So I have not given any sysouts. I commented. Now what should happen is when we run this, when a control is going inside a method, I should be getting a line in the console that so and so method and this method and this class is being called. Okay, this is what we have given, right? So execution of which class, which method is being called and what is the time. So that's what has to be printed for every method when we are calling. How do we call a method? Using a controller. We have a controller and we have URLs. When we are going to call the URL, it will come here. From here, it is naturally going to call the method here. So I'll try accessing slash greeting. I'll go slash greeting. So the control will come to the controller. From the controller, it will go to the service object maths operation. From the maths operation, it is going to return back. Okay, just no server is started. It is not at called. We got it. See here. Execution time of maths operation class name. What is the format I have printed here? Class name dot method name. So when I call this greeting, it is going inside maths operation dot maths operation method. And what is the next we are calling from the controller? Maths operation 2, correct? This is using service object. So maths operation 2 dot maths operation. Let's call something else. DB rules, right? Where it is going, DB rules method name. So if I call welcome, let's try welcome. Execution time of it is going inside Microsoft DB class. Method name is the method name. Understood? Is it making sense now?
Yes.
So we are not giving sysouts anywhere, but we are able to see where it is going. Even the parameter we can see. If I'll stop here and I'll give a debug here. Let's give a breakpoint here and let's see what's inside this. I'll start in debug mode. When I call the greeting, I should be calling the parameters. First num, second num, and action. I'll go get it ready. Greeting. Already we have it, right? Okay. greeting, first num, second num, and add. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's started. Let's go back to the. Okay, let's go back to here and start hitting this. Now the debug is on. It should come here and it, yeah, it's waiting for us now. The control first would have reached the controller. As soon as we hit that greeting in the browser, it would have reached the controller. From the controller, this method call will be triggered, but it is being intercepted by the logging aspect. So before it goes into this method, it will come here. So it has come here. And okay, here it is. Now if I open this object, whatever I am getting, let me expand this. What is preceding join point? Preceding join point. So if I expand this, what am I getting? Signature. Preceding join point dot get signature. Argument is null because okay. Preceding join point signature is a method name. Parameter names are not coming because in the execution I have to get. Okay. So method name is here, class name is here. Okay, I'll show you then later. So now let's see what this means. We have given execution. That is a expression. And see, for every method execution, it is calling. Every time it is going inside a method, it is coming into this. So what this means? Execution means execution is a keyword. Star means all the type, public, private, whatever it can be. And inside this package, com dot rajesh dot service and all the sub packages and all the methods, all the classes and all the methods call this. That's what it is. The the detail is there in the documentation. See here. So if you do execute public star star like this means the execution of any public method. This means execution of any method which starts with set. What I have given star this one. So execution star com dot star correct. Let me check. Dot star. Uh, this is the argument. Okay. So the execution of any method defined in the service package or a sub package. I have to go. Not an issue. I just have to change this for all the packages to come. So in short, this means when this will be called, whenever there is a control which is coming inside com package, Rajesh package, service package, and all the classes dot all the methods, it is going to come inside. That is why the inside service it came only 2 times it is coming. If I give DAO, it should come 4 times. For service entry, one log. For DAO entry, one log. Any questions?
I'm good, Rajesh.
Okay, good. So using the same concept, we can handle the exceptions also. Exceptions, we can handle the transactions. So those are all applications. When we go deep into that, using in your live projects, you will be able to handle this. For now, this should be sufficient for you to know about AOP. So without giving any sys out, the log should be printed. Let's try out this sub package also. So that service and DAO both it should be printing. So com dot x dot star dot star. Let's give and remove the service. So dot star and dot dot star. So after Rajesh dot star and the methods. Let's see now. Okay. Now if I try. See 4 times it has come. It is going inside DAO, that's operation, and this is the service class, that's operation, service controller. So we are exactly knowing where all the control is going. The same way we can also print out the variables, what all it is getting printed. This is a very important concept in Spring. So AOP, aspect oriented programming. So good with this, you can go through and any questions you can ask me later.
Okay.
Okay. So 1 second. I wanted to change. Close this. Okay. That day, I said you one thing that the here we are here we can do, we don't have a get do post and do get, right? I said that in the controller we can do that. See here, method equal to whether we are going to use get method or a post method. So in request mapping, we can do method equal to request method dot get or request method dot post. Here, in get request mapping, comma method equal to request method dot get, comma request method dot post. So if you give it this way, then it means we are allowing both the post method and the get method. There's a small syntax change. One second. No, one second. Let me just at get mapping. Both we can put it here. And I'll touch base something very base on API after this. Quickly, I'll show you what is an API. Okay, there it is. One second, let me. I'll bring out. Okay, so we have to give method equal to post, method equal to, okay, inside the bracket, that is correct only. Method equal to what I gave earlier is method equal to request method dot post and request method dot get at request mapping, get mapping. Okay, at request mapping. We are just, that will not allow multiple. If you want to give both multiple post and get, we just have to use this way. So I will quickly touch base something on API. So the model so far we have seen in a web application is, if you notice, one second, my kid came and is He's calling me. Okay, I'm back. So if we notice what we have been doing so far is we have a web application. This is again very important concept. Just try to this this is what will open up the API. This is where the world.
Rajesh, this is the new concept.
It is actually a new concept. Uh, how API came up. That is what.
Okay.
For that we have to. It all originates from what we know. So far, what we have been doing, we had a Spring Boot server, which is in case a Tomcat server. Inside the Tomcat server, we had the JSP. Inside the JSP, not inside in the same Tomcat server, we had one more. We had the what? Okay, we had the Java classes, right? So when I call this, when I call greeting, the control goes to controller, and from where the page is getting served, where is this page located? It's inside the same server, correct? Where this page is located? What is this? This is the JSP page, greeting.jsp, right? Following or lost somewhere?
I can hear Rajesh.
I didn't understand. You're not following?
Yeah, I'm following you.
Okay. So this page is delivered from the same server. The Tomcat server has this JSP page and the Java class. Now, what happens is typically both the pages and the logic will not be in the same server. Let's say you have created a logic and I want to reuse your logic. In that case, what I will tell is, okay, you have written your logic. I don't want your pages. I just want your logic. You expose it as an API, and I'll hit and I'll get the value. This is what I will tell. Which means I have my own page, but I will not write the logic. I will reuse your logic, call your API, and get the data. That is what it means. So for that, Spring Boot, with one example, we'll see. Let's say the same example, adding two numbers. What are the values we have to pass? First num, second num, and action. If we pass that value, we will be adding and we will be displaying. But from where it is called? It is called from the JSP directly. JSP only calls this. Now I create one class. I'll call as REST API controller, and I have to just give an annotation here. Earlier I gave controller. Here I have to just give REST controller. If I give REST controller, then this becomes a REST controller by itself. Let us say I add one method, one simple method. I'll add public. What is my method? Do arithmetic operation, and I need to give a response type. Here the response type I will give is let's say I give a response type as string. Response type as string, which means this method is going to return a string, and do we have a domain here? We don't have a domain. Okay, no problem. So I'll give a sysout inside. Now this, okay, I'm going to return a string. Return new response entity. New response entity of hello, comma, http status dot okay. Now it is going to return a response entity of string. Entity of string. Okay, so far good. Now we just need a URL. The URL will be a request mapping. What is the value we will do? Test API and consumes equal to media type dot JSON value produces equal to media type media type there's a bracket wrong. Okay, consumes is this, comma, produces equal to media type dot, again application underscore JSON value. Okay, so okay, this is done. So what this means is there is a REST controller. There was a normal controller earlier we defined. This is a REST controller, and there is a method which can be called using this URL, and it is going to accept a JSON value and it is going to return back a JSON value. That is what this is. The okay, once I run this, I'll tell you the story behind it. Here, I said inside a inside a Tomcat, there is a JSP. There is a JSP, and here we have the Java file. This is all inside the same server. Now I want a architecture where I I'll duplicate where I don't want the page to be here, but I want the logic to be here. But from outside, I will call the logic. This is how the API started coming into picture. The API came because everyone wanted to reuse whatever was written. So they didn't want to recreate or write the same logic again and again. So they just wanted to have the logic here and reuse it from some other application. Now if I call the test API, let's see what happens. Localhost 8080 test API. Okay. Content type not supported. Okay. I'll go through the ARC. So this is what yesterday you asked, like API. You have to hit an API. This is an endpoint. So this is an endpoint. We can hit this API through a postman. So what it does is when we use the postman and when we call this endpoint, it is going to come here. It is going to return back as a JSON.
Okay.
Okay, JSON is something as Java script object notation. That is a full form of JSON. So JSON will have a syntax like this. I'll open up ARC. Let me see here. ARC. I had an ARC. 1 second. Chrome ARC. ARC. Here it is. I have advanced REST client. So I have created an endpoint like this. This cannot be accessed from browser. API cannot be accessed from browser. API can be only called using through the backend directly from a Java program or through SOAP UI or Postman or any other tools. So which cannot be called from a browser because there is no UI for API. API is something which will just give a data. You have to parse the data and you have to display it in the UI. So when I open this, I go to get method. I hit the get method, and what is my API endpoint? This is my endpoint. And how am I going to hit the method? The content type is application JSON. Through JSON, application JSON, and I'll send it. See, there was an error passing the JSON data, unexpected token. So it is calling actually the server. Let me just pass the correct value. I will clear everything. Request URL is this one. Header. Toggle source. Variable. Cancel. Content type is application JSON. Hit send. There was an error passing JSON. So see, it is coming to the REST controller. If I hit from the, of course, my JSON is not correct, so it is not coming correctly. But this is how API works. When I hit a method inside the API, when I call an API URL, the content is going to call and it is going to hit this method. It is going to come here. It is going to do something, and there is no page. It is going to just parse and send it back.
Okay.
Okay. So this is one more thing which is there in your like syllabus for the training, which is the API. But my only
Okay.
thing is, I mean, are you following these things? I mean,
Yeah,
because
Rajesh.
okay, great. Because things are getting more complicated as we progress every day. Day one it was easy, but I'm just since there is no response, I'm just wondering whether you are following or not. Yeah, this is okay,
I'm
right?
following Rajesh. Yeah.
Okay,
Because
okay,
if I didn't follow, just I'm going to ask
okay,
what's the
no
problem.
problem. Okay, good. So
Just
the
the thing, the classes and the interface and how it's the way how it's going to flow and from where we are going to call and that this is the main thing and we got some concepts to reframe this one and we have to go and like this. I
yes,
got the the
yes,
whole concept.
yes. So the API basic is let us say you have an functionality which is already developed. I will not rebuild it. I will ask you to expose your content as an API. So you will expose as a link and you will tell me this is the link. You pass these parameters and take out the values. So I'll call the API, I'll take the values and I'll print it in my system wherever I need it. So that is the basics of API. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So we'll pause for today. We'll come with some other. I'll see the syllabus and the next topic I'll take tomorrow.
Okay, in advanced Java, right?
Yes, yes, advanced Java.
Okay.
We have still few pending like filters, dispatcher servlets. Few things are pending. Like concept wise, it is important. So those things I'll touch base tomorrow. And security wise, how to secure the application. So slowly I'll touch base all those things.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rajesh, just I saw in the doc regarding the JDBC drivers, they're going to come in future.
Yes, yeah, that will come. That will come when we touch the database. The
Okay.
JDBC Java database connectivity will come after we finish this. We'll start the database integration. We have brought these values till the DAO layer, correct? From the
Yeah.
DAO layer, we have to now send it to the database. That part, the JDBC drivers will come.
Okay.
Yeah, next week we'll take it up.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay then. So talk to you tomorrow. Have a nice day then.
All right, Rajesh. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Bye bye.